welcome back to Prepa Pizza's video series, and here I'm going to show you how to mix the dough using a mixer. When you're using a stand mixer, we'll talk about a couple of things. First of all, this is past making the poolish stage. So the poolish video is good for making it in a mixer. If you want to make your poolish in the mixer bowl, obviously that's easy to do. Or if you didn't make it in the mixer bowl and you just made it in a normal bowl, still not a problem. What you're going to do is you're just simply going to pour the water into the bowl, and then you're going to loosen everything up so then it's easy for you to transfer into the mixer bowl. And then once you have it in the mixer bowl, you can kind of start from there. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the water to the mixer. I'm going to put the dough hook on, then we're going to kind of loosen everything up. And you'll see kind of what stage it's going to get at that everything is pretty loose. I'll add in the water now. Now remember, that's 2/3 of a cup of water that you're going to be adding at this stage. So the first stage you added a cup of water. Now at this stage you're going to add 2/3 of a cup of water. Very important when using a mixer. You want everything to be cool. So for example, if you did the 4-hour process, you want to make sure that you put this in the refrigerator at least for 30 minutes before you start mixing. The reason why is this is a metal bowl. It creates heat, and this dough hook is going to create a lot of friction, which in turn creates even more heat. If you heat up the dough too much when you're mixing it, you're going to run into the problem of over mixing, and in turn you're going to come out with a bad product. So you always want to start with cold stuff. Even if you're in the South or you're all the way down in South Florida where it's normally hot all the time, you might even want to add a couple of ice cubes, but make sure when you're adding in ice that you only fill to the level of that 2/3 cup. Once again, keep it cold. So if you are somewhere in the Northeast, you can just use your refrigerator tap or even cold water from your tap. You don't need lukewarm or hot water in any way, especially in all processes with making the dough. I'm gonna add in cold water that I literally just poured directly from the fridge. We'll talk about these two bags here in a few minutes, but just so you know, the semolina bag, you're not gonna need this until you're ready to make your pizza. So the bag that has an S on it like this, the bag with the S, save that until the very end when you're making pizza, because that's gonna help you stretch out your pizza. So I can throw that back there because I don't need it for this. And you don't need it for mixing by hand either. We're gonna put this on here. Just so you know, this works in any type of stand mixer, or if you have like a bread making mixer, you can do the same thing. I'm not sure about the hooks and everything like that, but the process is definitely 100% the same. There's not really a lot of difference that you're gonna do in the process. You just put the hook on there. You can just set it to the lowest speed possible. And really what you're trying to do is you're trying to mix everything up inside of here and mix the poolish with the water. And what it's going to do is, just like with using a spoon to mix it up, it's gonna create the color of milk in the process of doing it. At this point, if you can see, like you look in here, I'm gonna just stop it really quickly. If you notice in here, you see how it's still kind of stuck to the sides. You can always use a spatula to kind of release everything if you want to, if you want to speed up the process, or you can keep it going with the mixer. I'm going to grab a spatula and go ahead and just do that really quick, just to kind of push it down the sides and get it released. So if you notice, I'm just going around the bowl using a normal kitchen spatula that I found in the drawer, so no specialized equipment for that. The goal is I'm just trying to release it from the bowl so it evenly starts to mix around, because I want it to mix good with the water here. Also, just make sure that you keep everything in the bowl here. That way, so for example, if you get a whole bunch stuck to here, wipe it off your hand and put it back in the bowl, because you want to keep all of the information there. Now I can put it back in, and now everything should move around and be a lot more loose. And the goal at this point is, you see how there's a milky color to the water here? That's what you're trying to create. Now, you're not trying to completely loosen 100% of this. You're just trying to keep everything together. As you can see, things are starting to be mixed up a little bit more incorporation. We can even turn up the speed a little bit on this just to kind of get it loosened up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the bag that's right here that has all of the rest of the mix in it, doesn't have a label on it. We'll cut that bag open. In this process, you don't want to just dump the whole bag in. You want to kind of incorporate it little by little. So you're just going to incorporate it together little by little. Kind of let a little bit of it get in there, and just keep adding it to your mix. As you can see, everything in the mixer is starting to loosen up and get off the sides of the bowl. This is where you can incorporate your olive oil into the mix. And once again, just kind of little by little, you're adding the olive oil in. Okay guys, now if you look at it, you see that it's gonna be all the way kind of incorporated. And once everything is incorporated in the mixer, you wanna stop it. That's the resting point. Now what you're going to do, and I'll show you that really quickly, you see how everything's mixed together? What we're gonna do, because everything is combined, we can stop the mixer and we wanna scrape everything down and on the sides of the bowl. And make sure that you have everything off the side of the bowl. This spatula doesn't really work for this, so if you have a bowl scraper, you can also just use the back of it to kind of get everything off the sides of the bowl. Obviously, you want to keep as much of your dough as you possibly can. But once everything is fully incorporated and inside of the bowl, you can then cover the bowl back up and you want to let it rest for some time. And then that's going to come back and give you the exact dough that you want all together as one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bowl off of here and I'm gonna cover it back up. And you see how it's just incorporated, that's it. And if you notice, this is cold and it's not sticking to my hands, and that's perfect right there. So you just wanna make sure you scrape everything down. This is the point where you're going to sit and let it rest for 30 minutes to an hour. So I can easily just take my lid, or if you have plastic wrap, you can just cover it right back up. You're going to let that rest for an hour. Once you're done with this step here with the mixer, basically there's two schools of thought. Number one is you can take it out and you can do all of the steps that we talked about next by hand. If you don't want to do that, you can finish off the dough in the mixer, but you're going to need a temperature gun. If you don't have a temperature gun, then skip this step that's coming up next, which I'll make another video for you separately. You don't have a temperature gun, then what you need to do is simply remove your mixer out of the way, scrape your bowl, get everything out of it, put it on the counter and let it rest. Just like we were doing before by hand, this is the part where you don't need the mixer anymore. Because right now, you don't want everything to overmix. If you overmix your dough, it's not gonna come out good for you. You're not gonna end up liking it. It's gonna be mushy and it won't be easy to work with. But this fully put together right now, easy to cover up. You can simply take it, you see how it's coming right off the counter. And the reason why it's coming off the counter like that is because of the cold water. It helps you out. It's a big, big thing to do when you're doing this. So now we can let that rest by simply just covering it up with the bowl. Once again, if you want to try and finish the dough in the mixer, I will make another video for you guys and post that as well. But at this point, if you don't have a temperature gun, do the rest of the steps by hand.